So hey guys, welcome to the PlanTito Earl channel, and I'm your PlanTito Earl. And today I'm going to be releasing two vlogs on a topic that has been frequently asked of me, lalo na sa Instagram, and that is Leca. And I'll be doing two parts because I want to be as comprehensive as I can. Part 1 will be the lecture part of our Leca series. So meaning I'll be discussing some things or the things I know about Leca, yung mga things that I researched about, and the things I experienced about Leca. And then part 2 naman, I will be showing you how to properly use Leca, how to prepare it, how to prepare your plants, how to prepare Leca, and how to maintain your Lecalized plants. Kumbaga, yan yung lab. So, kung college subject to, part 1 will be the lecture series, the lecture class. Part 2 will be the lab class. So, let's get it started. So hey guys, welcome to the PlanTito Earl channel where we talk anything and everything about plants. And I am your PlanTito Earl. So before anything, thank you so much sa lahat ng mga laging nanonood, sa mga nag-subscribe at sa mga hindi pa, please subscribe to my channel and follow me on social media. I'm very active there. I'm on Facebook and on Instagram. So we'll immediately go to our topic at hand today, which is all about Leca. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll notice na marami akong stories about my plants na naka-Leca. Right now, mga around 50% sa mga halaman ko nakalagay na sila sa Leca. So yun, so this vlog will be all about that. I will be telling you yung mga things that I know of about Leca based on my research. Siyempre, I do a lot of research when it comes to my plants and my personal experience na rin. Kasi I've been using Leca for about 4 months now. As an overarching theme ng vlog na to, Leca has been very beneficial and very good to me. It's not without its downfalls, which we'll be discussing later, but generally, naging okay yung result ng Leca sa akin. That's why I've been converting most of my plants to Leca. This is also in preparation for the time when, let's say, things start to get back to normal, na I won't be home as much as I am now. Let's start muna with what is Leca. This is Leca. This is Leca. This here, itong clay, itong ball na to, itong mukhang wag to, hindi siya masyadong photogenic. Let's use this one, medyo mas malaki. I don't know if you can see it. Lapit ako There, it looks like that. Okay, Leca actually stands for something. Yung Leca na spelling niya. It's actually an acronym which is Lightweight Expanded Clay Aggregate. So it's very self-explanatory kung ano siya. Lightweight meaning magaan siya, expanded kasi okay, I'll get to the process na how this is made. This is actually initially used for construction in making lightweight concrete blocks kasi it's a good filler material and it's very sturdy and very lightweight. So parang it's a good filler for dead weight, kumbaga, but it serves the purpose right. And then eventually, it made its way as a substrate, as a viable alternative to soil in growing your plant. Usually, ginagamit siya sa mga semi-hydro or hydroponic setup in growing plants. Now, characteristics niya expanded. So, ang paggawa sa kanya, this is actually clay and then may mga that's the aggregates part of it. Aggregates meaning it's a combination of several materials, pero yung main ingredient niya is clay. And then how it's made is it's made in a rotary kiln, meaning umiikot yung oven or yung lutuan niya. That's why it gets its rounded shape just like this one. And then as it is heated, sobrang taas ng temperature that this is heated. About 1,200 degrees Celsius or about more than 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So that is very hot. So dahil sa init na yon, nag-expand yung air inside the clay. Kaya if you'll notice, hindi siya ganun ka. I'll try to find a medyo broken piece just so that you have a better appreciation of what I'm saying. Yun, inside, you'll see, hindi siya super solid na stone. I don't know if you can see it. I hope you can see it. I hope mag-focus siya. But this is like, ito yung sa gitna niya. You'll see that there are some air pockets inside. That's why it's not as heavy or it's not as dense as usual stone. And that's what makes Leca a really viable substrate or growing medium for your plants. That's what Leca is in its most technical sense. And then characteristics niya, it's low density and lightweight kasi nga nag-expand yung air inside. So, mababa ang density niya. Malaki ang volume niya, but siguro get a pebble na solid na this size, maninotice nyo na mas mabigat yung pebble na yun kaysa sa Leca ball mo. I'll show you an example of what I mean by it being low density. So here's our example. This is a glass of water. Water is known to have a density of 1. 1 kilogram of water is equal to 1 liter. So density niya is 1. Now this one has much less density than water. So it floats. See that? It floats. Kasi on top of the air, mababa yung density niya because of the air pockets that are inside of it. So that's why it floats. And that's why it's very beneficial. It will be very beneficial to your plants dahil it will prevent crushing of the roots and the stems. Kasi hindi siya ganun kabigat. So it won't damage your plants as you transplant it or as it grows in that medium. And then it also somehow mimics the light and airy soil mix that indoor plants would generally want to have. Kasi nga indoors, in my case, I have an almost entirely indoor plant setup because I don't have a viable outdoor space, so everything grows inside my condo. The soil mix that yung mga plants, my plants would prefer is the light and airy mix so that properly aerated siya and mag-dry up siya agad to prevent root rot. Next characteristic naman is it's an inorganic material. So that means this little ball right here will not degrade over time. Unlike soil or unlike other soilless substrates, they will degrade or decompose over time. Mag-iiba yung quality niya, mag-iiba yung texture niya, bababa or halos mawawalan siya ng nutritional value. So you'll have to replace it eventually. But this guy stays the same for prolonged periods of time. Next naman is, it's a blank slate, meaning wala siyang anything to it. Unlike soil or your other substrates, they have some nutritional value, some minerals or nutrients that are within their composition. For example, in a soil mix, you have loam soil, you have vermicast and all that. You get those nutrients naturally. But this one doesn't have any of that. Kasi nga, again, this is an inorganic material. It doesn't have any nutritional value at all. What that does for your plants is it's very customizable. So, the nutritional value that your plants will get will basically depend on what you add to it. So that's it for the characteristics. Now we move on to the advantages and the disadvantages and yung mga middle ground aspects of it. But before siguro I get there, I'm just going to show you some of the plants that I have had in Leca for a couple of months. Some of these have been here for a couple of months, while some I have recently transferred. Let's start with this one. Ito yung oldest plant that I have in Leca. I've had this plant since September. This is a philodendron pink princess. So this has been here for 3 months, a little over 3 months now. It started with just 3 leaves, just 1, 2, 3. 3 months later, and then yung mga newer leaves are these 1, 2, 3, 4. And I got this as a reverted cutting, but now look at the most recently unfurled leaf. It already is showing pink. So that's really good. And it's been really successful. This is by far one of the most successful plants that I've had in Leca. And it has really grown since then. So, ito na yung mga next na nilipat ko sa Leca. This one, 2 weeks. This is a philodendron green dragon. Okay, this had 4 leaves before. Matagal na to. As in August pa to sa akin, wala siyang usad at all. I swear, wala siyang usad. It didn't lose any leaves. Well, it lost 1. As I said, it had 4 leaves before and a growth point. And then, it started to brown in soil. And then, about 2 weeks ago, I moved it in Leca. And now, yung growth point niya na for 2 or 3 months tulog lang. It was just a small growth point like this. Starting to unfurl. See that? In just 2 weeks. And now, look at that root growth right there. You can see how well it started to establish itself. See? Sobrang puti, sobrang healthy and juicy ng root. And lastly, this is my most recent transfer to Leca. This is my Pilea peperomioides. I got this for free kaya mas ako na i-experiment siya in Leca. And so far, it's working. Matamlay itong stems na to before when I got it kasi these are imported and siguro hindi pa tapos mag-acclimate. And the good part about it is there's a growth point right here. There's a new leaf about to pop out anytime soon. since I moved. Wala pa yan when I moved it in like 3 days ago actually. And now it's here, so yay! See? Perky. I'm not afraid to shake it. Kasi alam kong solid na siya as a plant. Let's move on to the advantages and disadvantages of using Leca. Let's start with the advantages. Now, advantage number 1 is that, I mentioned this earlier, they are reusable. Reusable, so meaning you can use it over and over again kasi hindi siya magde-degrade. So, no matter how many times mo siya gamitin, no matter how many plants ang dadaan sa Leca mo, it will be fine. You just have to rinse it in between, or you just have to clean and sterilize it in between. Next is it's light and airy because of its low density nga and how it's not so compact when it's in the container. You can be sure na yung roots mo will be able to grow through these guys, through these crevices na it makes, and it won't, and at the same time because it's light and it's not as dense, so hindi maka-crush yung stems and roots mo, so your plants will be able to grow their roots much faster. Next naman, I also mentioned this earlier, it's customizable. There are different sizes of this. There are some that are smaller and some that are slightly larger than this, but this is the usual size that you can get. This is about around half an inch. And then it's customizable. It depends on how the size of your plant and what type of plant you have. Since it is a blank slate, it has 0 nutrients, 0 nutritional value. So, you can customize kung ano yung solution na ilalagay mo per plant. Then, aesthetics. It actually looks good. There's a certain look to it na kakaiba. Medyo may pagka-modern, I guess. Yung dating na, I don't know what you call that visual style. But anyway, it looks really nice and modern. And it looks uniform. Kasi I put them in clear containers. That is a very important tip pala. When you're using Leca, use clear containers. Transparent or at least translucent. Doesn't matter if it's plastic or glass as long as you can see through it. Then the next advantage is this one is a really, really great advantage. It prevents, or it helps in preventing, or I guess safe to say eliminating soil-borne pests. Now, there are a lot of soil-borne pests. I'm not going to discuss them because it's disgusting. There are some pests that come from the soil, and since this is essentially soilless and it's floating in water and inorganic material, chances are, you wouldn't have any pests in this guy. So that is a really good advantage of using Leca. Airborne pests, yung mga lumilipad going to the leaves, that will still be a problem depending on the plant, but at least soil-borne pests, you're almost entirely eliminating that problem out of your plant. So that is a very good advantage of using Leca. And also, as I mentioned, in line with that, it also minimizes fungal and bacterial infection. Again, because it is inorganic material, it's just floating in water and in a solution, chances are fungus and bacteria won't thrive as well as it would in down here. Unlike soil or a soilless substrate, which can immediately bear with it some fungus and bacteria. This one, because you'll be sterilizing it beforehand, you're almost also completely eliminating that risk from your plants. So you're really protecting your plants when you use Leca. And I think that's also a very good advantage kung bakit okay na okay gamitin si Leca. Next naman is potting and repotting is less messy. Now, when you use other substrates, pag for example, pag for example, nakalat nyo yung soil nyo, ang hirap linisin, kailangan nyo punasan kasi magdudumi siya, magpuputik siya if it's soil, kakalat siya, maging alikabok and all that. But this one, since these are solid balls, makalat man sila, it's easy to pick them up. Just kaya mo silang i-pick up just like that. So clean up during the repotting process or transition process won't be so difficult. And also, another advantage of this is iwas lamok. You may think na ito marami na nagtatanong sa akin, di ba siya malamok? No, because may water siya, yes. It essentially becomes stagnant water eventually. But then, yung lamok mo, hindi siya makaka-penetrate through here. Kasi yung water level mo, mababa lang eh. You try to keep it low. So, hindi makaka-penetrate yung lamok mo. So, hindi siya makakapanganak ng wrigglers. Hindi siya pamumugaran ng lamok. So, that is also a wonderful advantage to Leca. And the last advantage that I will be talking about now is, and this is the one that I think is the most important and the one that's very, very helpful for me. This one, it prevents overwatering. Now, kasi the problem kasi with usual substrates like soil or soilless, you don't exactly know if your plant needs watering or not. You still have to poke your finger through the pot, or you have to use a moisture meter. But with this, you can immediately see, sorry, I'm gonna take out pentaphyllum again. You can immediately see kung gaano kataas yung water level that is in your plant. And that is a wonderful, wonderful advantage of using Leca for your plants because you prevent overwatering. So that's it for the advantages. If I missed out some, please let me know in the comment section below. Now we move on to the disadvantages. So yes, it's not without its disadvantages. First disadvantages is it has a little more maintenance as compared to your usual usual substrates. Kasi it's recommended, which I personally haven't done, but it's recommended that you rinse it at least once a month. So parang i-drain mo siya, run it through running water, and then top up again with your solution. So just so that your plant gets a fresh batch of nutrients coming into it. Kasi it's water and eventually it will stagnate. Yan ang talaga yung characteristics. Next disadvantage is it doesn't provide any nutrients. Again, because it's a blank slate. So you have to be the one to provide the nutrients to your plants via a liquid solution that you are putting there. Since it can't produce any nutrients, it doesn't have any nutrients on its own, so you have to provide the nutrients so that your plants will be able to thrive some more. Yes, there are some people who are using Leca with just plain water, and that's completely fine. Pero kasi eventually it will run out of nutrients or baka hindi siya maging sufficient enough, especially when your plant gets bigger and it will have higher nutrient requirements. Baka photosynthesis may not be enough. So it's always great to supplement it with nutrients. It's just like fertilizing. So basically that is fertilize. That's the version of fertilizing for Leca-based plants. And also another disadvantage is that there's an extra step before you use. You have to clean it up. Ako personally, I'd really prefer na I clean it up and sterilize it. Although minsan pag tinatamad ako, I just rinse it through water hanggang hindi na cloudy yung lumalabas na tubig. So that's completely fine. It's really up to you. Kasi when you come to think about it, diba? That's why I say na you can do away with that process. Kasi when you come to think about it, diba, when you use other substrates like soil or yung soilless substrates mo, you usually just use them straight out of the bag and then put it in your plant, and that's it. Hindi mo na siya tinitreat, hindi mo siya sterilize, although you don't want to sterilize it kasi mawawalan siya ng nutritional value. You don't want to sanitize it sanitize. You don't usually sanitize it anymore, just straight out of the bag, pot, and that's it. I mean, if plants are able to handle that, then most likely they will also be able to handle just a little bit of dirt coming in from these guys. So sometimes lang yun, pag tinatamad ako, and again, I don't recommend it, I just rinse it thoroughly with water. I don't boil it anymore. And last disadvantage is the availability. It's not as widely available as your usual soil substrates or as your usual substrates. Ito kasi medyo specialized siya and not too many people are using it, so there isn't too high of a demand. So stores are usually don't provide a supply or don't find it necessary to have a supply of this kasi there's not much of a demand. Kailangan mo talaga siyang hanapin. Which brings us to where you can buy it. Ako, nabili ko yung first batch of Leca ko from Lazada. It's available mostly online. You can also search Facebook Marketplace, or you can search your favorite IG stores. We'll go now to the middle ground, which are both an advantage, or which are neither an advantage or disadvantage, or meaning they have both advantages and disadvantages. Let's start with the price point since we're already at it. In the short term, mas mahal talaga si Leca than your usual substrates. Comparing it with, let's say, a garden soil mix, that usually costs less than 100 pesos, like between 60 to 100 pesos per 5 kilogram bag. Meanwhile, as I mentioned, 8 liters nito would be at around 350 pesos. Ganun. So, it's cheaper to buy the usual substrate in the short term, but in the long run, mas economical si Leca kasi nga it's reusable. You can use it over and over and over again. Meanwhile, yung soil mo or your other substrates, once they expire or once they deteriorate, they won't be as friendly anymore to your plants. And then another middle ground is the types of plants that you could use it with. I'm only saying this only because I've only tried it with some types of plants, not all of the plants that I have. I've tried it on most aeroids. The ones that I have in Leca right now are, you've seen them, philodendrons and anthuriums. I also have some epipremnums, pothos, and I have an epipremnum amplissimum and falcifolium in Leca, and spathiphyllum, peace lilies. I have peace lilies and sensation, which they really love, by the way, in Leca. So, yun. And the pilea pala. And that's it. I haven't tried it on succulents and sansevieria, and because I doubt that they will work kasi yung mga yun, they want drought. They don't like moist environments. And in this case, this is a moist environment. We're creating a moist environment down there. So I'm thinking it might not thrive so much in Leca, but I could be wrong. If you've tried succulents and cacti in Leca, please let me know in the comment section below. I also have a calathea pala. This has been in Leca for 3 weeks now. You can see the results. So I guess this goes to show that it may not be for all types of plants. See how crispy that calathea is? And it's already nighttime where I'm at, and it's praying down instead of praying up. Although ito, healthy pa yung leaf niya, so it's praying up. But the rest are praying down. So, sad. But at least there's a new growth point over there. So that's fine. Siguro yung solution ko lang is too strong. Kaya it reacted kind of violently to the solution than the Leca. So I'll try another one next time in just pure water. So we'll see how a calathea fares. So yun. So I can't really say that all plants will be agreeable to Leca kasi nga each plant has its own different requirements. So you have to be able to provide that for them. And lastly, about buying Leca. Okay, so there's a tricky part about buying Leca. Now, Leca kasi, depending on the seller, it can be sold either by volume or by weight. By volume meaning it's sold in liters, and by weight meaning it's sold in grams or kilograms. Now, there is a big difference there because, one, volume, again, quick science lesson, volume is the amount of space a certain matter occupies. Meanwhile, weight is yung mass with the impact of gravitational pull of the Earth. 1 liter of Leca is not equal to 1 kilogram of Leca, or you won't be getting the same amount of Leca balls in 1 liter and in 1 kilogram. Kasi nababasa ko to sa comments, especially on Lazada. There are people complaining na they bought 1 liter of Leca, and then nung winay nila, hindi daw siya 1 kilogram. Magkaiba po kasi yun. Sorry, lumalabas yung pet peeve ko. Pet peeve ko kasi talaga yun na hindi nagbabasa. When you're buying Leca, always check if your seller is selling it by volume or by weight. Kasi it makes a huge difference. I'll show you a picture. On one side is Leca, is 1 liter's worth of Leca. So I tried to measure it. That's a rough estimate. That's how much Leca you'll get in 1 liter, Leca balls. Meanwhile, on the other side is 1 kilogram of Leca. So you can see the difference right there. It's almost twice as much or twice as many Leca balls that you can get as compared to 1 liter of Leca. So when you're trying to cost it out, check kung magkano yung price ng 1 liter versus 1 kilogram. And then try to do the math. I don't want to do the math anymore kasi hindi ako magaling sa math. So tingnan nyo na lang kung saan kayo mas makakasulit. So there, that's it for part 1 of our Leca series, which is our lecture class. Kung baga pa sa college, this is the lecture part of your subject. Part 2 will be the lab part where I will be showing you the ways how you can use Leca or how to use Leca. So the first part answers the what's and the why's, the where's, and the how much. The second part naman will answer the questions how to use specifically, how to prepare it, how to clean it, how to pot your plants in it, and how to maintain it. So there, thank you so much guys. I hope you were able to learn. I know it was a handful of information. I hope I was able to give you a better understanding of what Leca is and what it can do for you. So that's for part 1. Now part 2, I will show you how easy it is. Actually, it's very, very easy to use Leca. So there. Thank you so much, guys, for sticking it out. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you're able to learn something new today. And as always, have a great day. Bye-bye.